Before Guns N' Roses, Axl Rose held down a variety of jobs. He worked as a night manager at one point. Rose and Izzy Stradlin also smoked cigarettes for a scientific study at University of California, Los Angeles for $8 per hour. Now, before we delve into this great story, please subscribe so that you don't miss any of these cool stories in the future, and leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. While Guns N' Roses were playing LA nightclubs such as the Whiskey A Go Go, the Roxy, and the Troubadour, the band drew the attention of major record labels. They signed with Geffen Records in March 1986, receiving a $75,000 advance. $75,000 in 1986 is equivalent to about $217,000 in 2025. The band had turned down an offer from Chrysalis Records that was nearly double Geffen's, due to Chrysalis wanting to change the band's image and sound, and Geffen offering full artistic freedom. Before Appetite for Destruction became the best-selling debut album of all time, which has sold 30 million copies worldwide, Guns N' Roses were just another late 80s rock band no one had heard of. During an interview with Mark Maron in 2019, Duff McKagan revealed how much was in his first Guns N' Roses royalty check. He saw no money on the Appetite for Destruction tour. Our roadies made more. We'd have to borrow money from our roadies to eat, Duff said. Guns N' Roses supported their debut album by opening for Aerosmith, The Cult, Motley Crue, Alice Cooper, and Iron Maiden. After several months on the road, Welcome to the Jungle and then Sweet Child of Mine started gaining popularity, getting rotation on MTV and radio. Suddenly, checks arrived. I knew nothing about money, Duff said with regards to the record label's promises. I got a check. My first check I got was $80,000, nearly $219,000 in 2025, for having nothing. And I was scared of the money. I don't know what money was. Like, what am I supposed to do? I heard all these stories about the depression from my parents, like, I don't want to spend it all because, the depression. According to Duff, he was so unprepared for fame and for the pressure that came with the band's success that his drug and alcohol abuse gradually escalated until he got sober in 1994. And Duff actually said there was a couple of years there where he didn't even drink water. He just drank alcohol all the time. So, in 1988, Duff McKagan received his first royalty check, and it was $80,000. Then how much did the other members of the band get? Doug Goldstein, the ex-manager of the band, who worked with them for 17 years, revealed in an interview with GNR Central back in 2019 how the band divided their songwriting money in the early days. Here's what he said. Publishing splits were 20%, 20%, 20% for Duff/Izzy, and then 25% Axl and 15% Steven. That was a gift to Steven. I mean, Axl used to say that all the time. I wasn't around for the writing, but he was like, look, they were trying to force me into even splits. Steven never wrote anything, so he considered that a big gift to Steven. So, Duff, Slash, and Izzy got 20% each. It's $80,000 each. In total, the band received $400,000. That's 100%. Axl's cut was the largest, 25%, so he got $100,000, and Steven's was 15%. He got $60,000. So these were the first royalty checks they got in 1988. And just for your information, guys, $400,000 in 1988 is worth about $1,100,000 in 2025. In early 1990, drummer Steven Adler was briefly fired from Guns N' Roses due to his drug use. He was later reinstated after signing a contract in which he promised to stop using them. but it didn't work out. After trying to record Civil War around 30 times and creating other issues in the studio, the sessions for the Use Your Illusion albums were aborted for several days. And eventually, Steven Adler was fired on July 11th, 1990. The contract which Steven signed on March 28th, 1990, demoted him from a partner to an employee and put him on probation by the band and management. According to Steven, he didn't know what he signed. A year after his dismissal in July 1991, Steven Adler filed a lawsuit against his former Guns N' Roses bandmates, management, and attorneys, charging that he was fraudulently removed from the band and unknowingly stripped of his partnership interest in the band. He alleged that the contract he had been made to sign took away his financial interest in the band, stating, "I was told that every time I did heroin, the band would fine me $2,000. Well, what the contract actually said was the band were paying me $2,000 to leave. They were taking my royalties, all my writing credits. They didn't like me anymore and just wanted me gone." The case was settled out of court in 1993, just hours before the case would have gone to the jury. The band's attorneys reached a settlement with Adler agreeing to pay him $2.5 million. Adler collected $2.3 million from the band, $150,000 from former manager Alan Nevin, and $50,000 from GNR's manager Doug Goldstein. Steven said, "I was awarded $2.5 million in damages and regained my 15% in continuous royalties." The co-founding rhythm guitarist Izzy Stradlin announced his departure from GNR on November 7, 1991. Stradlin quit Guns N' Roses in 1991 after years of being frustrated with Rose's behavior and after the band reportedly tried to cut his percentage of royalties. The insider MSL noted via GNR Truth, when they bought out Izzy, Axl got the largest share of Izzy's percent going forward. Slash got the second largest and Duff got the third largest. So Axl 36%, Slash 33%, and Duff 30%. A few years later, Guns N' Roses went on hiatus from 1994 to 1996. Axl Rose, who felt as the initiator of the band, began demanding the sole right of the name Guns N' Roses from Slash and McKagan. Since then, the tensions have escalated, and one by one, Axl's bandmates left him alone in the band. It was so negative, Slash recalls. He left the band in 1996. His departure was followed shortly thereafter by drummer Matt Sorum, who was fired in April 1997. Bassist Duff McKagan followed in 1997. When Guns N' Roses reemerged in 2001, Axl Rose was the last remaining member, and it was a band in name only. Slash and Duff came back in 2016 for an extremely lucrative reunion tour. Actually, Guns N' Roses never really broke up. What happened was that gradually all the band members left the project except for Axl Rose. The exclusive rights to use the name Guns N' Roses were forcefully acquired by Axl. According to The Guardian, in 2005, Slash and Duff filed a lawsuit in a Los Angeles federal court accusing Axl Rose of naming himself sole administrator of the band's copyrights and profiting by about $500,000 a year. Rose is suffering an apparent attack of arrogance and ego, the suit said. He is no longer willing to acknowledge the contributions of his former partners and bandmates in having created some of rock's greatest hits. The suit claimed that Rose told the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers to send all publishing royalties to his company, bypassing the band's other partners. Slash and Duff alleged that they had been excluded from their share of at least $92,000 in royalties collected in one quarter of 2005. In 2016, Slash and Duff McKagan rejoined Guns N' Roses. Izzy Stradlin rejoined the band for a moment, but left because the band wasn't offering an even split. According to former manager Alan Niven, Izzy flew out and did a sound check, but something must have really upset Izzy because he left after the sound check and never turned up for another one or an appearance. Stradlin, however, offered a simpler explanation. His absence from the reunion, he tweeted, was about money. They didn't want to split the loot equally. Simple as that. Izzy was insulted by the contract offered him. In fact, Guns N' Roses were going to bring him back, but not as a full member, but as a salaried employee. Why? Well, because Izzy had sold his shares and walked away with cash. He's not a business partner. He hasn't been in the partnership since he left the band in 1991. On the other hand, Slash and Duff retained their shares and stake in the GNR company even after leaving the band. Slash, Duff, and Axl remained in the partnership, and Axl owns the name Guns N' Roses. So, Izzy would have come back in 2016 as a salaried sideman. Guns N' Roses invited Steven Adler to play with them at several shows on the Not in This Lifetime tour in 2016. Steven said that he thought they were going to ask him to play more, but they didn't. The tour became a massive success. According to Billboard, it netted $25.9 million in 2017. According to Forbes, it grossed over $584 million by its conclusion in 2019. Let's calculate how much the band earned from the tour. It's usually 1/3 of gross sales, so 584 million by 3 equals about 195 million. That's what the band earned. So Axl got about 70 million, 36%. Slash got $64 million, 33%. And Duff got 58 million, 30% from the Not in This Lifetime tour. Actually, when Slash was going through his divorce with wife Perla Furr, he revealed that he made around $345,000 per month, which is about $4,140,000 per year prior to 2016. In 2018, Perla filed documents reporting that Slash's new income was $45 million in 2017 alone. Apparently, Duff and Axl made more or less something similar. Slash had sponsorships, royalties, and investments before the Not in This Lifetime tour ever happened, and his income was still only $4 million in 2015. And then 2 years later, it was suddenly over 10 times higher. It's pretty clear the sharp increase in income is because of touring with GNR.